The latest details surrounding a murder in Lake Delton over the weekend after an arrest last night.
The latest death toll from the flooding that hit Texas over the weekend as many remain missing.
And the official headgear of America's Dairyland. We'll meet the man who started the Cheesehead, how he did it almost 40 years ago now. You're watching News 3 Now at 5.
And we begin with a look at your forecast. A great start to the week, but some storm chances on the way. Meteorologist Blaze Keller on the weather is joining us in studio. Blaze?
That's right. We're taking a live look there in Platteville of those showers and thunderstorms that are going to continue to move through really parts of Grant County. They're beginning to exit now into parts of Lafayette County, seeing some showers and thunderstorms into Iowa County as well. So let's take it in and pinpoint where those showers and thunderstorms are in some of our communities. We'll start first with Iowa County, stretching there from about Muscoda all the way into Dodgeville, south and east into Blanchardville. That is where our first line of showers, maybe a rumble of thunder as well. And then stretching from Blanchardville all the way back south and west now into Dickeyville and then further into Dubuque. That's another round of shower and maybe a few rumbles of thunder, especially there towards Cuba City, back into Darlington. That's where we're seeing more of those reds, those oranges, indicating more of that heavier rain activity. Now, if you're not seeing rain activity right now, that doesn't mean that we won't see some as we head further into this evening. Future Track is going to slowly bring this rain activity eastward as we go closer to the midnight hour through at least the first half of Tuesday, but not everyone is going to see those showers and thunderstorms. We're going to track a few more chances for rain in the upcoming work week. That's coming up in just a few minutes.
All right, Blaze, thank you. Continuing coverage now after a woman was found dead in a Lake Delton home on the 4th of July.
Now, the details have been hard to come by as police have been tight-lipped as the investigation continues. Our Kyle Pazorski working to share the latest.
What I can tell you at this time is that Lake Delton police were called to this home just to the west of the Wilderness Resort on Friday night. Now, this home is on some water with the Dell Creek running just to the west of where I'm standing here. Lake Delton police say a woman was found dead inside this home on Friday night. There wasn't much activity happening at the home today while I was out here. Now, a neighbor who lives close to this home did tell me that he has seen police at this home at least a few different times over the course of the summer, and that he's shocked that something like this happened.
It can happen anywhere, but something like this, no, I would not. This is, to me, very much isolated incident. And it's so rare, I don't, this is the first thing I've ever seen.
Now, an arrest was made on Sunday night with a 23-year-old male being taken into the Sauk County Jail. At this time, the name of the victim is still being withheld until the next of kin can be notified. In Lake Delton, Kyle Pazorski, News 3 Now.
Kyle, thank you. And at this time, the investigation remains ongoing.
2 Sun Prairie police officers are recovering after being injured while trying to restore order after a disturbance. Those officers were called to South Bird Street near Pheasant Run Park for reports of a disturbance with multiple people on Saturday. When they arrived, they found juveniles arguing, but as police tried to de-escalate, the situation turned physical and family members joined in. Outnumbered, the officers called for backup from the Dane County Sheriff's Office. 4 people were arrested for disorderly conduct, including one person now facing a charge of battery to a law enforcement officer. 2 juveniles were also cited and released to their parents. 1 officer was taken to the hospital and has since been released. The Richland County Sheriff's Office is investigating after a Reedsburg man died when he fell from a truck during 4th of July celebrations. Deputies say it happened just west of Cazenovia on Friday night. MedFlight was called to the scene. However, the 22-year-old man died before he could be transported. Officers say Ethan Pepper was sitting on the tailgate of that truck when he fell onto the roadway. The Richland County Sheriff's Office asked anyone with information to reach out to them.
UW-Madison police are investigating after a body was found early yesterday in Lake Mendota. Just after 6, a passerby found someone about 50 feet offshore near the UW Memorial Union Terrace. Preliminary investigations suggest it was a middle-aged man, and UW-Madison police say there is no indication of foul play.
In Walworth County, 2 people were found dead in Lake Delavan, just northeast of Beloit. According to the town of Delavan Police Department, they responded to a call of a possible drowning. This was about 11:30 Saturday morning. A 57-year-old man from LaGrange Park, Illinois, was pronounced dead at the scene. A few hours later, police were called to the Viewcrest area, where a 26-year-old from Texas was recovered from the water. The town's police chief says high winds and several boats made conditions difficult on the water.
We have a beautiful area to enjoy, and we want everybody to enjoy that area, but we want them to enjoy it safely. The use of personal flotation devices, PFDs, we really need that to happen in order to prevent incidents like this from occurring.
I was so sad to hear of the drownings that happened here this week, because normally you don't hear that from a small, town, homey lake.
Well, police have not yet released the names of the two men who died there on Saturday.
The Universities of Wisconsin system has confirmed that several UW regents had their homes vandalized on Friday. Other regents' homes had Free Palestine written on them. The UW-Madison Police Department is not investigating because these cases happened off campus. But UW spokesperson Mark Pitch said, quote, "This kind of conduct is not free expression nor protected speech. It is dangerous, unlawful, and unacceptable." Pitch advised anyone with information to contact local law enforcement.
At least 95 people now have died in the devastating flooding in central Texas as the search for dozens more continues.
A flood watch covering nearly 5 million people, including the flood disaster areas, is still in effect. Mary Bella Gonzalez has the latest from Kerrville, Texas.
Waterways in some of the most devastated parts of central Texas rising again Monday as more rain falls in the area. The elements hampering ongoing search and rescue efforts.
They're running into a lot of technical challenges with terrain, with water.
The Kerr County Sheriff's Office says over 400 local, state, and national first responders and more than a dozen canine units are helping in the search and rescue efforts. Here, the dramatic rescue after two people clung to a tree to save their lives. Others in the state, including children, were forced to swim to safety.
The flood started getting bigger, and it was going up to, we have bunk beds in our cabins, and it was going up to the top bunk, and we had one choice, and we had to swim out of our cabins.
I said a prayer when I was standing on my porch. Both my parents are deceased, and I said, "Mom, Dad, God, help."
The death toll continues to rise, including 27 campers and counselors from Camp Mystic along the Guadalupe River.
I've lost near friends, best friends, my boss, my godchildren.
The Hill Country community now questioning if anything could have been done to prevent this tragedy.
Everyone here, if we could have warned them, we would have done so. And we didn't even have a warning.
While survivors come together in their grief.
The outpour of people near, far, it's been incredible.
Texas Governor Greg Abbott says the state is bracing ahead of more possible flooding in the coming days.
A new study says American children are dying at higher rates than those in similar income countries. A study published today finds the biggest disparities were in deaths from gun violence and traffic accidents. The study also highlighted an increase in chronic conditions, rates of depression, autism, obesity, and ADHD were all among those that increased. Another new study shows that many people who are eligible for medication to lower cholesterol and help reduce heart disease risk are not taking it. About 23% of the study's at-risk patients are taking the medication. Roughly 68% of those who already had a major heart event were taking it. But the study's lead author says many people go undiagnosed, forget to take the medication, or cannot afford it.
Tens of thousands of heart attacks and tens of thousands of strokes could be prevented each year if people were receiving treatment for high cholesterol that's in accordance with the best expert guidelines.
Dr. Alexander says he hopes this research will encourage patients and providers to work together and identify when treatment is needed.
The Department of Homeland Security plans to end temporary protected status for the roughly 76,000 migrants from Honduras and Nicaragua in the U.S. Temporary protected status applies to people who left their countries to escape armed conflict or natural disasters. The Trump administration recently ended protection from many nationalities, arguing that conditions in certain countries no longer justified the protections. This move prompted legal challenges nationwide, with some federal judges blocking efforts to terminate temporary protected status.
President Trump will impose 25% tariffs on Japan and South Korea starting August 1st. He sent letters to notify the two countries and posted pictures on Truth Social earlier today. The president said he takes issue with trade deficits the U.S. has with both nations and encourages them to manufacture goods in the U.S. to avoid the tariffs.
The Wisconsin Youth Symphony Orchestra is nearly halfway to meeting its goal for its grand finale campaign. The orchestra wants to raise the remaining cost of $5 million to complete the WISO Center for Music. So far, $2 million has been raised. A $1 million match was also pledged by the owner of Endres Manufacturing back in January. That's when the campaign was announced. That amount was met within just 3 months. You can find a link to donate under this story at channel3000.com.
The Dane County Farmers Market is heading to a new location for just this coming weekend. On Saturday from 7 to noon, the market will be held at Breeze-Stevens Field to make way for Art Fair on the Square. That event is being hosted by the Madison Museum of Contemporary Art and will be held Saturday and Sunday.
Well, Blaze is back next. A complete look at your First Warn forecast.
And 6 months after the devastating fires hit Southern California, we'll check in on how far they've come in the recovery process.
On Wall Street today, red numbers across the board. The Dow tumbling some 422 points. The Nasdaq loses 188.5, and the S&P falls 49. We'll be right back.
You're watching News 3 Now at 5, moving forward.
Today marks the 6-month anniversary of the Eaton and Palisades fires that struck Southern California. Dozens of people died in the fire. Of course, destroyed many buildings and scorched tens of thousands of acres. Fire officials lifted final orders last month, allowing for a reopening of part of the Pacific Coast Highway. Debris has been cleared from almost 80% of all residential properties in L.A. that were destroyed in the fires. L.A. Mayor Karen Bass says debris removal is ahead of schedule.
Meanwhile, wildfires continue to burn in Canada, causing poorer air quality here in Wisconsin. On your screen is a map of current conditions in our state, and the red circle is Madison. The yellow indicates moderate air quality, which means there could be some health concerns for a small number of those sensitive to air pollution. Similar conditions are expected tomorrow.
And now a live look at Fort Saskatchewan in Canada. There are over 200 fires currently burning in the provinces of Saskatchewan, Alberta, and Manitoba. This year is the second worst fire season on record for Canada, burning some 14,285 square miles, or the equivalent of 22% of Wisconsin's total area. Officials say 500 firefighters from the United States are on the ground, with more on the way from Costa Rica. In total, roughly 9,000 people are actively fighting fires in Canada.
Let's see how conditions are in our area. Nice afternoon today, Blaze. Not as oppressively hot as it's been, and it looks like a good week ahead.
Yeah, we're going to say pretty seasonal, and yes, the humidity is a little bit lower, but still enough to get a few showers and thunderstorms, not only through the rest of this afternoon, but overnight as well. We're going to hang out where we should be for this time of year in those low to mid 60s, with that rain activity ending from west to east as we go overnight into the first half of Tuesday. By the second half of Tuesday, we should be more underneath partly sunny conditions. And as I mentioned, we are staying pretty seasonal this week. We're not seeing any 90s, but we're going to continue to feel very summer-like with 80s as temperatures and dew points back into those 60s. Again, we're in the heart of summer, so this is kind of what we can expect as we go into the next couple of days. Rain chances do taper off as we go further into Tuesday. We remain dry on Wednesday and at least to start Thursday. And then our next real chance for rain moves in Thursday, continues Friday, and especially Friday night into Saturday, as what looks to be a weak little low pressure system will likely move out of the Dakotas and take its time to move its way eastward as we go Friday night into Saturday. We're at Saturday at 2 o'clock in the morning on Future Track. That rain encompassing pretty much all of Wisconsin, and then that'll push off towards the north and eastward. This far out, we're going to continue to watch it just because this is going to be a little bit more organized than what we're seeing this evening. But our models are, at least for now, painting a really poor and weak upper level support. And while we're talking about weather at the surface, when it comes to especially severe weather, you want some support in the upper layers of the atmosphere. So the longer we can keep no upper level support as we get closer to Saturday, the better chance we're likely going to skip out on any severe weather as we go into this weekend. In terms of rain, though, especially, and this is likely picking up Friday night into Saturday over the next 7 days, we could be seeing anywhere between an inch to maybe an inch and a half in isolated spots, especially off towards the south and west. We're going to really watch to see where that Friday night rainfall starts to set up and how quickly it pushes north and eastward. If that low pressure system takes more of a northerly track, we could watch some of those isolated spots move northwards, or if it's going to hang further south, we see the rain stick to where it is or possibly move further south as well. But we really would like it to stay where it's at because we made some great strides in reducing the dry conditions across Wisconsin, but we're still holding on to at least 3% of abnormally dry conditions along the state line there. We're down from 24% to now about 16% of Wisconsin suffering from abnormally dry conditions from last week to this week. So some great news, but we don't need any more rain here. We could use some rain further north, but we need a lot more of that beneficial rain across southern Wisconsin, where we are seeing rain right now. Taking a look at radar 3000, we'll take it into parts of Iowa County there, stretching from Muscoda still all the way back south and west past Barneveld. Just north and east of Dodgeville, dealing with some heavier shower activity. No lightning with these, but maybe a flash or two here or there, stretching from Wyoda all the way back into the Dubuque area. Another line of shower and thunderstorm activity. This is going to continue to impact us as we go overnight into your Tuesday morning. There's a look at your 7 and 10 day forecast. 80s pretty much from here on out, with a couple rain chances there returning Friday into Saturday.
Looks good. All right. Thank you, Blaze. Well, hard to believe, but the foam cheesehead has now been a thing for almost 40 years. How it came to be, next at 5.
You're watching News 3 Now at 5.
It is one of the most recognizable looks in football, and it all started, of course, right here in Wisconsin. You see him at Lambeau Field, even in airports and sometimes overseas.
Alex Corradetti meets the man behind the cheesehead hat and shows us how it became a symbol of pride, not just for Packer fans, but for Wisconsinites everywhere.
If you're heading out to a Packer game, you need to look the part. Ah, that's better, but something's still missing. Oh, the iconic cheesehead. But how did this wedge of Wisconsin history come to be? We're about to find out.
My name is Ralph Bruno. I guess it was something that I had to do back in 1987, and that was to make a cheesehead. It started as me going to a Brewer baseball game, and they were playing the White Sox, and of course, our friendly neighbors to the south call us cheeseheads. So the night before, I had made a cheesehead hat from a piece of foam. I was reupholstering my mom's couch at the time. And so I cut it in the shape of a triangle and got a wood burner out and put holes in it with a wood burner and gave it a golden color and wrapped everything into all cheeses into one. A girl came up and said, "Hey, can I try it on?" And then my buddies looked at me and looked at her, and they're like, "Oh, what's going on with this cheesehead thing?" And then I couldn't get the hat away from them.
And you have the original cheesehead.
It spent a lot of time in a closet in the dark, and then my wife Sue had somebody build a case for it, so we have it under glass now. Back then there wasn't anything, and so being first on the scene with something, it is a good bad thing. The manufacturing side of things, it went from what I had done by cutting it into actually a molded process, which I knew nothing about. But my background in pattern making and mold making allowed me to go into that side of things. So I thought, for what I wanted to do, foam in action, so I put together Foamation, and so we started the company.
So you had, decades with it, but you sold the rights to the Packers in 2023?
The feel that we had gotten over the years by working with the Packers, it just was the perfect fit.
Early on, we became a customer of Ralph and Foamation, and now for us, it's about how do we become good stewards of the Cheesehead brand. We want to carry on the history of what Ralph created.
Never believed that we'd be talking here 38 years later about something I had done that had no financial plan. It was just a whim kind of thing. And everybody has that opportunity. And I think that's hopefully what people get out of it too, is like, I I have a cheesehead in me, you know, somewhere, somehow, and I believe we all do.
So from couch cushion to cultural icon, the power of the cheesehead is here to stay in Wisconsin.
And now you know.
I was trying to see how much the Packers paid him. I was researching to get the rights to the cheesehead, but I can't find it. I hope he got paid well. Just the year they went to the last Super Bowl, they sold 1 million of those things.
Wow.
So
see, great idea. Everybody has a cheesehead in their head.
And the Packers realized we can make money off that. You see them everywhere. We'll be right back. Final check of your First Warn forecast. Stay with us.
The search for the missing grows dire days after the devastating flooding that hit Texas. What we know about the recovery effort and the people coming together to help. And we look at how the river rose 26 feet in just 45 minutes, plus the risk of additional flooding in the area with more rain on the way. That's tonight on the CBS Evening News.
And coming up in 30 minutes on News 3 Now at 6, we learn more about an arrest made in a homicide investigation in Lake Delton. We hear from concerned neighbors and the latest statements from police. That story and more at the top of the hour.
Now, on a much lighter note, the 7th annual Wiener Dog race ended with no clear winner. This was yesterday in Appleton. I'm trying to use my serious news guy voice on this. Several dozen small dogs took to the field. This is where the Timber Rattlers play their games. And with all the chaos, it was just hard to tell which wiener dog, the dachshund, had earned the title of top dog.
That's so funny. They ran all over the place.
I was going to say, top of the video, one just off the field.
Yeah. Blaze is back. Final check of the forecast.
Yeah, got a little shower and thunderstorm activity across southwestern Wisconsin, mainly into Iowa County and now mostly into Lafayette County as well, stretching from Muscoda south into the Barneveld area, just south and west of Mount Horeb. And then we look at Argyle all the way back south and west into Dubuque. You can always track out the shower and thunderstorm activity this evening. There's a little lightning using our First Warn weather app and using our interactive radar. No severe weather this evening, but we will see that chance for showers and thunderstorms continue overnight through the morning hours on Tuesday, dry out Wednesday, and then more rain chances return starting later Thursday through Saturday.
All right, Blaze, thank you. Thanks for watching News 3 Now at 5. The CBS Evening News is next. We're back in 30 minutes for News 3 Now at 6.
You can always find us streaming 24/7 on Channel 3000+. Have a good evening, everybody. See you at 6.